You are listening to the Government Mule podcast, a production of the Tulsa County Clerk's Office in Oklahoma. Welcome back to another episode of the Government Mule podcast. I'm Michael Willis, your Tulsa County Clerk, and today we have a unique set of guests that I'm going to introduce to you here. And the premise here is that we have this group of guys who've been working on a project called The Keeper and the Keeper Project. Turned this thing into a film that actually was screened last night at the Circle Cinema here in Tulsa. And so I'm going to introduce you to these guys and let them tell you kind of the background of what's going on with The Keeper and the project and the film and what the next steps might be. And so we'll get rolling. We'll start off with our friend Dan Knight, who is the one who reached out to us about the potential of coming on our podcast, and we're super glad to have you. And give us a snapshot of background of who you are and how we got this thing started.
First of all, we were very grateful that you've taken the time to help us here. And the way this came about in Tulsa is my brother Mike lives here, and he and I watched The Keeper with my family. We all got together on Thanksgiving, and I'd seen the movie, of course, but they hadn't. And after we watched that, Mike was asking, what can we do? What can we actually do? So we noodled on it a bit, and we came up with this idea that we'll create this organization called the Keeper Project. And the Keeper Project is about the movie, but it's more about building community and helping people, in particular veterans and their families, on how to cope with PTSD. And one of our goals is to raise awareness for the massive number of suicides that for veterans and people in general. And so that's the premise. Michael introduced us to Kendra Guthrie over at the Humble Warrior here in Tulsa. She picked up the ball, and this whole thing just magically came together in a wonderful way. So that's a start. You'll learn much more as we have more conversation here. So.
Sure. Well, let's turn to Angus next. We've got Angus Benfield here with us, and you're from California, right?
Yes, but originally not from California.
Okay. Yeah.
So my accent, I'm originally from Australia, but I moved to the US about 9 years ago, and so now we live in California, LA, obviously for the film side of things, because that's my background. I'm an actor and a producer and a director, and we migrated to this country with my family, and we love living in the US, and it's always been a dream to live here, and and so part of being here, of course, is to make films, and I found this amazing script that was presented to me, and I was confused why no one had made it, because it's such an important story, and I thought, well, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to make this film. So next thing you know, we're all connected, and met George and Todd, and then Dan came on board, and we all, we just a lot of hard work, pushing a rock up a hill kind of thing, and we made the film. So that's my background. Is pretty much that's all I do is make movies and try to tell good stories. And,
cool. Yeah. Well, welcome to Tulsa. We're super glad to have you here. And George, you're kind of the star of our show here, I think. Been quiet so far, but George Eshleman, and George is from Calhoun, Georgia, and you're kind of the meat and potatoes of this thing, as far as I've been able to tell from everything that I've read. Tell us a little bit about you and kind of your background and how you got involved with this.
From Calhoun, Georgia. I got involved with this. My best friend, he called me, or his wife did, obviously. He had shot himself, killed himself. That's where we started all this. After my hike, during my hike, I wrote a journal, and out of that journal, the story was created. And my wife wanted me to write a book, so I tried to write the book, and that didn't really, it was kind of a hodgepodge, and ended up writing a quasi-screenplay. Didn't know what I was doing, so I guess at Divine Intervention, I was introduced with Todd, the screenwriter, and he pretty much brought it all together. And then Angus was introduced, and there was something called The Trail Will Provide, and it did on this, because this film was made quickly. Other people that have asked how long it take to make, and in retrospect, it pretty much flew by because most films take a long time for pre-production and all the other stuff. But this one here went smoothly to the point where I even asked them. I said, "Does this go this smooth all the time?" They're like, "No." So I think the story carried itself, and there was a reason that it all went smooth, and it had a great message, or an important message. And the talent they brought to the table is what brought it alive. Otherwise, it'd still just be a piece of paper in my dresser drawer.
So before we
that's pretty much
get
it.
too far into the film and the project, I'm fascinated to know the background of the hike. So maybe give us a little bit of the story that led you to this journey and this trek.
Yeah, my best friend, Shannon, we knew each other since 9 years old, and he had moved away, but we stayed in contact, joined the military, we joined together, went to the same basic AIT. We were stationed at Fort Sill, down 75th Artillery
Here in
Brigade.
Lawton.
And we were just lifelong brothers, tighter than family. And I was on my way to work and got a call, April 15th, and at that point there, I just turned my truck around, went home, stayed drunk for 5 months. During that period, I had asked or told people I was going to get my friend's name and bring it to Katahdin and put it on top of a mountain. And during that 5 months, I was planning to kill myself. And I wasn't afraid. I mean, I was determined to do it, ready to mail my pistol and everything like that. Well, family members started sending me, just strangers, sending me their loved ones' names, and said, "Would you carry my son's name? Would you honor my son, my wife, my daughter?" And I said, "Sure." And on the surface, it was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." But these are what saved me, so that again was meant to happen. Carrying all these people with me. But yeah, got on the trail and someone at Katahdin laid his name tape up there, carried the rest of these, and a day and a half later, sitting on a shelter and was ready to take my life, pull the pin, see what's next, and luckily I didn't, obviously. But yeah, it's kind of how the hike all started. It was a place for me to go, end it, just to get away from everything, just turn it all off.
So your original plan was to take your friend's name label, make the hike,
Yep.
end it
Yes.
on the mountain or on the trail.
Yep.
And arguably, maybe as you got to 363 of these name tapes, maybe that contributed to saving your life.
Oh yeah, by all means. I mean, if they hadn't have sent this to me, I'd have done it. And I don't want to make it sound, too bad. It wasn't, but these didn't. These are my life. My security blanket. I've had 10 years. At the moment that I was starting my trail before the Rainbow String Shelter, these were just weight. This is something that, they were in the back of my mind. They weren't what they are now. They became what they are now behind that tree. That's when they became my family. So yeah, without these, I wouldn't be here right now.
Man. Well, obviously everybody in this room is thankful you are. We're also thankful, and I'm certainly thankful for your service. A lot of people don't know, but in Oklahoma and in lots of states, county clerks have the ability and the duty to, we try to support veterans as much as we can in my office. The primary and principal way we do that is we historically will record and store military discharge papers. And when people need those, we provide them back to the families and whatever. We've taken that in our office and kind of sprouted that out, and we have a few other resources. We try to partner with lots of organizations like the Coffee Bunker and the Humble Warriors and the VFW and the American Legion. So anyway, I just go on record to say how much I appreciate your service, and not only your 4 years of service in the Army, but the service you provided to all 363 of these men and women and their families. And I'm grateful that they were part of the process of bringing you kind of full circle back around and keeping you with us, because we need you here.
In return, without people like you all in the community and stuff that are showing interest in it, it'd be the flavor of the month, like it has been before. So, being that you're willing to, spread the word, that's, very, very important.
Of course. Of course. Well, let's get into the film a little bit and the project. So, Dan, I mean, maybe you'd be the best one to kind of start with this. Talk about maybe talk about how the film translated into the project.
Yeah, okay, that's so Angus mentioned and how we all sort of came together. Todd, the screenwriter's girlfriend, contacted me, shot me an email. We'd known each other for 20-some years, had acted together way back in the 2000s. Hadn't heard from her in a while. She said, yeah, my boyfriend's helping write the script, and we're trying to raise some awareness, maybe some funding, whatever. Here's the script, read it, and if you want to forward it along or whatever. And so I read it, and it became immediately apparent to me that, yeah, I need to help get this made. And called George. I can't remember if I called George first or Angus first. Maybe I just called them out of the blue. They didn't know me, and then we started to get together and hooked up. And Angus and I, in terms of the filmmaking side, we understood the challenges because the SAG-AFTRA union was going to go on strike, and we knew if that happened, it was going to delay us. This was maybe August, maybe July, late in July of that year, and we decided, well, let's get this thing made so we can get it released by Memorial Day next year, which is a pretty aggressive schedule, especially when you're going to film over 5 or 6 states, and a lot of your people are going to have to fly in, a lot of logistics and things like that. So Angus and I and Simone, the producer, we sort of handled all of that and got the casting and everything put together. Came together beautifully. I'm one of those people who don't believe in coincidences, and as George said earlier, it was intended to be. And so we all felt that. Challenges, sure. So we got the thing kicked off, and we finally landed on shoot dates. And the week before we were planning to come out to location, we were going to start in Maine, and our assistant director broke his leg.
Oh.
So we had to find another assistant director very quickly, which we did. We all got our travel plans. I was one of the first ones with boots on the ground, and there'd been a tropical storm / hurricane in the Northeast, and we were right on the tail end of that. So it was one of those things where you get those challenges, and you just battle through them. You say, okay, so what? Yeah, it's going to be rainy. It's going to be blah, blah. So we got kicked off, and if you ever see the film, or for the people who have seen the film, our very first scenes, the opening scenes of the film, what's fascinating as a filmmaker and a storyteller is not many of those people, if any, had ever met each other before, ever in their life.
Oh, wow.
And they came together that quickly. Now, my theory is it's because of the story. Now, a little bit of background, and I'll pass this along. When we talked with George, as we had our initial meeting, we all agreed that one of our guiding values was we are going to honor these people, those people that are on those names there, but also their families. And we're going to represent those veterans to the best of our ability, and we never lost sight of that. So when we were casting, we made that clear to the actors, all of the crew. Many of the crew, in fact, I want to say the majority of the crew were veterans.
Oh, great.
And a lot of sweat equity. They pitched in. It was a family affair. And that's how we got the thing rolling. The first week in Maine, I felt my job, my first big job was to get things lined out. And we did. And so then I needed to withdraw from the location. But from what I understand, we sort of had our process, and as they went state by state by state, we had a lot of things already ironed out. So that's how the story that George mentioned that he wrote and that he got with the screenwriter and then with Angus coalesced into, you know what, we got something here. And we just started down the road and started filming, and with Angus's brilliance and the crew's brilliance, there's always obstacles, especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere,
Sure.
which we were.
Yeah.
And it just came together. And here we are. the Keeper project then was an evolution of this. When my brother Mike, my sister in Montana, we all went up there for Thanksgiving last year, or a bunch of us, and none of my family had seen the Keeper. So I forced them down into the basement, and we watched it. And two of my nephews were veterans that were there, and I believe everybody was pretty affected by it. After we watched it, Mike, my brother, his wife, my sister, her husband, myself, we had a conversation, and it came up that, so what can we do? And we could talk about it, we can do this, we can do that, and that upped my level of frustration, because I had the same question, and I wasn't really doing as much as I thought I could do. So we noodled on it. Mike and I got together the week after, and we just started to brainstorm and came up with this concept of, you know what, let's create this thing, and we'll just call it the Keeper Project. It is about the film, but it's primarily about community and how do we get this word out to communities and get some action around these words. And so that's coalesced last night in a beautiful way, and now our plan is we'll replicate that in different cities across the U.S.
That's cool. I wish I could have been there last night. Well, Angus, when did the film? When was it released?
Yeah, so we did an initial release on Memorial Day in 2024, I think it was. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's a bit of a, because we literally, as Dan was saying, I mean, the goal was shoot it, cut it, release it, and that it's kind of a bit of a blur because I was like on a rocket ship trying to get it done. So we did a premiere in LA, and which had a bit of a Q&A, which is similar sort of template to what we're replicating now, and then we did a bit of a theatrical release, and then we have a streaming release following. But the problem is that when you're a small film like ours, and we don't have that $100 million budget and the other $100 million in marketing, it is a bit of a David versus 20,000 Goliaths. so you get the film out there, and we got it into like maybe 30 cinemas and stuff like that, and it was just hard to get people to, because no one knows what it is, and there's no big movie stars in it or anything like that. So it is a slow process. So it came and it went, and when it was on streaming, it was great to see that we were getting responses from a lot of veterans who, even from Vietnam veterans and stuff, who'd watched the film, and it really affected them. You know, grown men in their 70s saying they hadn't cried for so long. We know that this has potential to make change and do something, you know, what its purpose is there for. So, but it's hard because it's like, and then it kind of came and went, and then we're like, oh, now what do we do? And so that was the thing I was always kept feeling, there has to be more to this film. And my wife is the same thing. We always believed in it. And so, yeah, that's why it was great when, you guys Dan and Mike reached out and said, we need to do something, because I always felt like this is going to be something that will continue to grow and for years to come, and even beyond our lives. So,
So where can we view it now for all the listeners and watchers?
Yeah, besides coming to a Keeper project in a town near you.
Yes.
Of course, it is available on streaming. Most of the platforms have it. Amazon Prime, YouTube has it. There are a few other films called The Keeper, so just if a horror film pops up or a soccer film pops, but they should change their name.
There's only one, but there's only one, The Keeper.
So The Keeper.
Yeah, and there is so you'll see it, but but definitely Amazon Prime, YouTube as well, and there are a few other little platforms out there, and we also have a website as well, the keepermovie.info, I think, and that's also got information about it. But it's out there, and I really do like the idea that it is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So anyone can watch it. A veteran can watch it at 3 a.m. if they're struggling or something. It's there. And then, but what it misses out on is that community aspect, and that's what we really want to use this film for, is that engagement and getting people to sort of. Because the world's very uncommunity. It's like everyone's like in their homes watching everything online.
Right.
So we want to get people out.
So one of the messages here is we do want start by watching the film. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Soon. And then be on the lookout for, an installation of the Keeper Project coming to communities around the country. Really, we were talking about that before we started here. That there's a lot of discussion going on about opportunities you all will have nationwide, really, to kind of promote this and create this community venue for people to gather around and dig into some of the things that need to be talked about and the resources around some of the elements of the film. So, continuing on with, how you got involved with this, Angus, this is sort of a general question. We can all say, how'd you get involved? What made you interested in this? Of course, everyone's interested or should be interested in helping take care of and service our veterans. But what particularly got you really hooked into this?
Yeah, I think it was a story I could relate to, even though I'm not a veteran, but I've met so many veterans since I've been in the US, and I really get on really well with them, and I really love them as friends and work colleagues. But I think personally, somebody who's gone through the same sort of mental health issues and struggled with the same sort of things, like with depression and anxiety and all that sort of stuff, it was just something that I felt it was, I know this character, even though I haven't lived George's life. I haven't gone through what he went through, but I know enough of that character. And so someone asked last night, how did I play this character and all this? And it's just been my life as well. It's like you kind of prepare for something for 20 years of going through stuff. And yeah, as soon as I read it, I just realized that's there's a little bit of me in this character. And that's why I really wanted to play it. And it's that release thing too, like we're talking about telling jokes and releasing that pressure. And that's why as an actor or in any form of art, you do that art to release that emotional stuff, that's deep down inside. And that's why then you present that to the world, and that's your art, really. And that's what is out there to connect with people. So
was making this thing more mentally and emotionally challenging or physically challenging?
Yeah, it was a bit of both. It was. I remember day one, I was really exhausted, and we haven't started yet. So it was like, we had 6 months of just trying to the logistics and trying to figure it out, and then. But yeah, there was a lot of it's actually quite good to be physically exhausted. That's why, we had the pack, I had the name tapes. We were on the location. Again, it was just it wasn't much acting needed because it was all real. And George is there, so that physical weight and that physical demand kind of burns off a lot of that anxieties and crap that we have in our heads.
Right.
And then, but yeah, there was definitely, you do feel there is emotional strain, and it does hit you every now and then and stuff. And some roles take more out of you, and this one was like that. And it still affects me to this day,
Sure.
And all, so I find it hard watching the film again, like George does as well. Like we sort of can't sit and watch it 100 times because it sort of triggers things as well. So yeah, it takes a lot out of you. But.
How are you all going to do that as we get this project rolling? You started this yesterday in Tulsa, but you're going to be able to keep up with the demands of watching that film every once a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to tout my own brilliance.
Yes, please, Dan.
So what I did with them last night was while the film was showing, I gave them some brooms.
Oh.
And I just said, keep this lobby clean. Just kidding. What we all do, those of us that have seen it and lived it, it affects me different every time, and certain scenes, just as we were saying here. So for these showings, these screenings, we do have to find a coping mechanism. So I just go in and out. Go in and out and check. Or if it's really affecting someone, you know what the film is, and you just wait outside, and then when it's released, So that's, I'm glad you brought it up, and I know we were having a little fun with that. But we're following our own advice here in terms of watching each other's backs and making sure, checking in, and just simple things like, hey, you doing okay? and we got to know each other pretty well during the filming, and so you get to read people, and so we just practice a lot of the same, and sometimes it's humor, you
Yeah.
know, so there's that, to answer your question in a different way, that's just become an organic part of it. Everybody's finding your own way to cope or to honor or to whatever happens to be happening in that moment. And last night I was doing a lot of observation, and that I was really pleased, because not only us but the people watching the film. There were a lot of veterans watching the film.
I was going to ask. I
family,
assumed you had a lot.
and we have had situations where someone will come to us and thanks, and it was wonderful. But they also said, yeah, it was a little triggered by it. So we're 100% aware of that at all times, and with people who come to support, but also with ourselves, because you never know. Each day is different. So I give them brooms and I give them assignments, and then, last night I wanted them to wash the car, but then it rained like.
Oh, yeah. That probably came a deluge right as you all were getting going last night. Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question.
No, for sure. For sure. Well, George, let's go back to you for a minute. What year was it that you actually did your hike?
End of 2015 and 2016, 2017.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've done it 3 times. 2 straight pull through hikes, and the last one was a section hike where you do half the trail and then come back a couple months later to do the other half.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've also walked home from Millinocket, Maine to Stone Mountain, Georgia, down the roads and stuff like that. So,
Wait. From Maine.
Maine to Georgia, yes. Down
To
the
Georgia.
highways through New York, Boston, Connecticut. Yeah.
That's quite an adventure.
It took 54 days to walk the streets, but it takes 6 months to walk the trail.
Wow.
You can do between a little less than 5 months to 6, sometimes a little more than 6 months. Yeah, down the highways and stuff, it's straight. I mean, there's no ups and downs, and the Appalachian Trail is the hardest long trail in the world. The elevation change is over 500,000 up, 400,000 down. They say it's the equivalent of hiking Mount Everest 8 times, going up and down, up and down. So it's the hardest trail. It's brutal. It tears your body up. But every day you feel accomplished. And I think it's a couple of reasons veterans go out there a lot. It gives them mission, gives them purpose again, allows them to become a family, even though they're not. There's a lot of veterans out there, but become a cohesive group again, and feel accomplished about doing something. So, plus the quiet of it. You don't have all that noise around you. The white noise that goes on every day in our lives.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
you had mentioned to Angus, and so the veteran that praised Angus. They said, "How did you, fall into that so well to do?" And I think when people see the movie, they're gonna watch not just the talented actor, but in real life, where Angus went from a novice hiker to no hiking experience like I was, to at the end of the movie, what they see during that period is actual transformation. That's not acting. So at the end of the movie, he's got that swagger walk, the hiker walk, and he looks like a hiker, a through hiker. And the names carrying him all the time. He's the only person that's ever had these away from me. I do these go where I go. And I think they either spoke to him in some way, but he became me, and I say it with all sincerity, that it was 90% acting, and it was, the other 90% was authentic, and he put the 10% out there, and I know that doesn't add up. I'm not a Marine, but I can count. But yeah, it was as much as one as the other. But what they see on the film is actual, real transformation.
Yeah.
So it's a real story, and it's real people, it's real lives. So.
How'd the thing make you feel when you first saw it on the screen?
I'll watch it by myself at home. Tore me up. And even though I was there, actually watching it in real time on set, there were a lot of times I had to leave because what they're doing is what I did, and when you get to stand out of body experience and watch behind the tree experience, how stupid you almost, that was too much. I'd leave there. And some other things, but, yeah, when I saw it, I was relieved. I was like, okay, this is over. This is,
Yeah.
this is done. Let's get this thing. And I was very optimistic, but it's hard for a movie like this to gain ground quickly and also just go viral and go all over because it's such a hard topic to talk about.
Sure.
And how do you break down that wall to even start? And that's what we're trying to do now. And we'll succeed. We'll do it. But yeah, that's the hardest part is to break down that wall so people will come out of their shells. And there's not really one solution to PTSD. There's not only this and only that works. And it's a gamut of stuff. It's like common cold. There's so many different variations. It works for one, doesn't work for the other. The only thing that a veteran can do is, man, just keep trying. You got one person in your life. Everybody has one person. Make them a promise. Don't make them wake up and go, why? Because that's a really crappy word to say, why.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's my spiel.
We looked at that earlier on your phone.
Yeah.
We were talking before we started. Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned all those things because it kind of brings us into a spot of, talking about, again, applying the movie to the project, right? So the storytelling and, and how the film matters when we're having difficult conversations about a difficult topic. But, you all have, and you are marrying the communities and the communities you're going to go and talk to about this to the film and to this effort. How do you all see that as, what kind of role does that play in helping to heal, treat, provide a resource out to our veterans that need it? I mean, I see veterans here in Tulsa, maybe not every day, but almost every day who are having, a difficulty in their life, whether it's related to a job, mental health, addiction, some of those sorts of things. So maybe talk about how your application of this in the communities will play a role in assisting our folks.
We had some really wonderful people in the audience last night when we were doing the Q&A. Some of these questions came up. And one of the themes that came through that is, and I think George will substantiate this, is veterans talk to veterans. And even when they're in the field, during the service, they go out and they do something, a mission, and they know what they've done. They've done their job. And then when they get back to base or whatever, there's some camaraderie and some joking and everything. And they don't necessarily need to talk about what just happened out there. And that's the psychologist in me. What I read that as is, well, that's a coping mechanism. We all sort of do that, and it's not a bad coping mechanism. But when they get back stateside, and they no longer have a specific mission, that's, I think, a big factor in terms of something's going to fill that vacuum. And I'll paraphrase you, George, if you don't mind, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but very uncomfortable just talking to an average person, even a well-meaning person. And this is something we learned last night from some really wonderful veterans in particular. So the way I boiled it down in my mind, if we in the community, less talk, more action. And so Coffee Bunker, Humble Warriors Project, all of these wonderful organizations are just one stepping stone. And to help people who need help feel a little more comfortable, a teeny bit more comfortable, maybe just beginning to reach out. And I believe, in my experience anyway, that's the hardest part, whether you're a veteran or anything, is that first step of, and many of us, I'm generalizing, but if you happen to be of a certain age and you happen to be of a certain gender, say a male of a certain age, we're brought up, you were brought up, I can almost guarantee. You just bite your tongue, you just cowboy up, you just don't, you don't. So there's that aspect of it. And then you overlay these things that that veterans go through with that. So it's and a lady veteran last night brought this home really well. And Georgia just said it a little while ago. It's not a one-size-fits-all. There's levels of complexity here, and there's no magic bullet. You can't wave. So it's almost a case by case. But what seems to be common is if we can get together and let's just use veterans. If veterans can get together in certain venues and feel comfortable, initially with each other, and then slowly begin to broaden that circle for people who truly want to help, I think that's the avenue. So with patience and persistence and no judgment has to be kept out of that equation. And that's partly what we're doing here. We keep this value of honoring the veterans themselves and their families. We never, ever want to get sideways of any of that. We never judge. We never overstep our role. We do not overpromise and underdeliver. Mm-hmm. So all of these things are the mechanisms when we do these community events. So we're doing two things there, in my opinion. We are helping train the community about here's some ideas and here's some best practices and here's some things that have worked. So if you have people in your community or in your family that you might want to think about going this direction. And parallel to that, we are hopefully the other part of this double-pronged fork is helping veterans understand. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to feel isolated. Totally normal from that point of view. However, maybe on those certain days when you're really getting overwhelmed, just so you know, here's a place you can reach out to. And so I don't know any other way to do it. And that's basic psychology with any issue from my experience. So our mission here is to continue this outreach, find these opportunities, and my personal metric is if we reach one, we've done our job. Mm-hmm. And so I've broadened that to we're doing this one at a time. And what George said about the one size doesn't fit all is so important. Can't generalize, it doesn't work to generalize or stereotype or whatever. So that's a lot of the blood, sweat, and tears the Keeper project we've been doing. And again, Tulsa has been so gracious as our pilot here. Mm-hmm. And I can't speak for anyone else here, but I thought last night was a massive success in the feedback we've gotten and the continuing contact we're going to have. And the number of people who came up to us and said, how can we help? What can we do? And what we'll measure is what George said, because we want to, this flavor of the month, everybody, whatever the initiative is, right? We all get all fired up and everything.
Sure.
And
then
it just
trails
away.
Off. Yeah.
We're trying to create something that's sustainable, and
Mm-hmm.
it just keeps that energy going.
So as we talk about the sort of the growth of the project side of this, we were talking about some other locations that you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at. Will you all continue to do additional things maybe in Tulsa again or as a part of this? Or is it really we're going to try to get multiple places in the country up and running and doing some of these screenings and gatherings?
Yes.
All the above. Yes.
No, what my vision was when we kicked this off, and Tulsa was gracious enough, due to my brother Michael doing so much of the work here, the legwork down here, is I'm proposing to our team that Tulsa will be at a minimum will be an annual event, so that it'll be just like this time of year, and we'll have the infrastructure in place. Then at the same time, to broaden the mission, we use what we learned here. We get the best practices and the lesson learned out of here, mm-hmm. and then we begin to replicate it in different places. So I think I can speak with some assurance here, because I heard it last night. One of our next targets is Bartlesville, not
Oh, yeah.
too far from here.
Just up the
because-
road.
Because some people know some people and this and that. One of our targets is out in California because Angus has some contacts out there, and our screenwriters out there, and a few other people on the film are out there.
Mhm.
And of course, there's a huge naval base in San Diego, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
Another target is Billings, Montana, believe it or not, because my best friend, disabled vet who has been a veterans case manager for over 30 years, he has a presence there, and he can't wait till we can begin to investigate what options are there. So we're replicating the process, and then there's from Angus, as my point of view, we have a little more experience working with theaters,
Sure.
movie theaters, and so
Yeah.
not every town has the blessing that Tulsa does that has a nonprofit theater
Right.
that is gracious enough. So Angus and I will handle, well, okay, so what? We'll figure out a way to negotiate with those theaters. But that's and the only thing we're cautioning ourselves about is, because we're all doers, the thing we're cautioning ourselves is don't want to do too much too fast. We don't want to try to eat the elephant all in one bite.
Of course.
That would be, and so we're in the prototype stage and somewhat looking at low-hanging fruit. And I believe what's going to happen is it's going to become self-sustaining in not too long of a period. And people like you that give us a venue to spread the word,
Sure.
so appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully, folks will view this, and you all certainly can view it and send it out and get more information out. What haven't we covered? What else do we need to cover in the last few minutes?
I think Mike just.
Well, I just got a signal, but
We
I
just got
this
we
would
got
be
the
a
bat
time to-
signal. We got the bat
I
signal.
thought for a minute we needed a bio break, but no, there's
Don't walk in front of the camera.
there's
Mike.
the Humble Warriors.
yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Chandler
there-
Park.
Yeah.
There's a walk happening on Sunday.
Sunday. 35th.
That
Okay.
and we'll get you the details that you
Okay.
can broadcast.
Okay. Yeah, we've got.
So
so-
that's an extension of what we're doing here.
very good.
And I can't tell you the time. I can't tell you the place because I'm not familiar with Tulsa, but that's already set up and ready to go for
Okay.
Sunday.
Yeah.
And,
So we probably won't have this up and ready to,
Yeah,
to broadcast out, but Chandler Park is one of our wonderful parks here in Tulsa, and we've got Dan's brother Mike here in the studio with us, and he sent us the bat signal on that. And so but we're happy to have another county facility in support of this. Chandler Park's a wonderful place to do something like that. But what else, George? From your perspective, anything else we need to cover we haven't really talked about yet?
Yeah, I mean, to break it down in simple terms, everyone, like I said before, has one person, and if we get through their heads, and every veteran knows it, and we don't like to be babied or pacified or anything like that, and that's not what I'm trying to do. But if you're thinking something stupid, like I was, or Shannon did, or any of these people here, there's always somebody. Call the VFW, call that one person, because they would rather hear your voice, and they're not going to try to psychoanalyze you. I've had veterans call me before, and I've spent 7 hours on the phone with veterans. There's nothing more sober than hearing the slide of a pistol, while you're talking to a guy.
Yep.
And we end up talking about just crazy things you did in the military. Look, I mean, if we were civilians, we'd be in jail.
Yeah.
Stuff we did, and they say 65% of service members have a drinking problem. Well, yeah, the other percent are lying about it. So yeah, I mean, stuff like that. Y'all laugh about it, but to a veteran, that's family, because we can connect with it. And so we really don't sit on the phone or get in a group or sit at a bar or whatever and just start crying in our beer. We separate ourselves. We get what we call defragging or decompress after a mission. Because your anxiety and your energy is so high up that your adrenaline, that you're exhausted
Yeah.
when you come back.
Impacts your nervous system.
Yeah, that moment you have just to go, and if you don't grab onto something real quick to keep your energy up, well, yeah, you're going to suffer. And I think when you get out of the military, you have that, your energy goes up, your adrenaline goes up, but there's nothing to grab onto, and you're vicious cycle, and sooner or later it's going to kill you. For 24 years, I had it under control until I didn't.
Yeah.
And so it sneaks up on you. You read that text I showed.
Yeah.
August 30th, I got a beautiful text from Aaron Van Bibber. September 1st, found out she shot herself. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if everyone has one person, I'll ask is that you reach out to that one person. Get on Facebook. My phone number's been on Facebook for 10, 11 years now.
Yeah.
And there's no hiding. You call me, I'll pick up.
Yeah.
Unless you're a bill collector.
Then don't call.
Don't call.
Don't call. Yeah.
That's about all I got to really.
Yeah. Thank you,
put
George.
to it.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
That's good.
Angus?
Yeah, I mean, George covered pretty much everything. I mean, one of the things is, that distraction thing. I think it's really important when you're in those those black holes of life, and whether it's reaching out to somebody or just doing something like getting out, moving, having a hobby, something. I mean, it's just such an important thing. Just coming from a civilian's point of view, I know that it certainly helps me personally. And one thing with the film, the reason why I make films like this is that it's a very innovative process of, you can just show someone the film and they can watch it in their own time. And sometimes people don't realize what they're going through until they watch the film, and then they realize there is all this stuff that's in them that they haven't dealt with. And it can be it is a triggering film in that point, that it's releasing something and it's making an awareness. It's kind of tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, look, that you're not in a great place. There's a lot of pain here that you haven't dealt with, and you're putting a mask on every day. And so sometimes it's a person may not want to,
I'm that
talk to
stroke
somebody.
that's about to hit you in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
does.
So it's a very it's a very easy way. You could say, hey, look, you feel like someone's struggling. You could say, and I'm not trying to promote the film, but I'm just saying that in that way, the film is a tool that you can just send it to somebody. It's free. They can watch it. Maybe that makes someone start to talk. Now, we've seen this happen to a lot of people. There's a lot of veterans that they'll watch it and they'll go, oh, wait a minute. Something's not right here. And then that's when they start to go and seek help, hopefully.
I believe the other producer, Kendall Bryant, a Desert Storm veteran, during the filming, he actually had opened up a lot about personal stuff, and people started going to see therapy at the VA. Things that had just appeared to him. He's like, I knew it was there, but it was in a box. And as long as the box didn't open, we're good. Once you open the box, you cannot close it.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just it's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Kind of gets to Dan's point from before.
You
Yeah.
have a short period of time to address what's in that box, or it will
It'll-
kill you.
yeah, that's right.
There's no, well, it might or it could. It's like, no, it will kill you. There's no other way to put it. You will you'll do something stupid.
Yeah.
So don't be stupid. People love you, and I always thought people were being selfish to make me want to stick around and go through what I'm going through. Well, no, I realized, no, you're being selfish, because this isn't your story. This is God's story to share with other people, and you have no right to end your story, because you affect so many other people in a positive way, that they need you in their lives. And when you're not there, you've affected that person for the rest of their life. You don't have that right. That's not your right to do to someone that really cares and loves you. So.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things, because we all know that by the time we're adults. And what George just described, when we really break it down psychologically, there's guilt, there's shame, there's all of these things that we bury. And I love that analogy. I've had it, we've all had it at some point in our life where we go, I'm not going to open that box. It's easier and safer if I don't, and we know that if we do. But by the same token, we know that we can't get through it until we face the abyss and all of that. One last quick story. I have one of my talent agents is in North Carolina. And when we were casting, I called him and I said, yeah, we're doing this film. If you got some people you want to submit, we'll look at their their self-tapes. And I'd known him for quite a while, and I knew he was a veteran. And he said, yeah, that'd be great. And he called me a little while after, and he said, how can I get involved? And I wasn't quite sure what he meant. And it already resonated with him. So we found a way for him to be an extra. He drove all the way from North Carolina, I think, to Tennessee.
Oh, cool.
And one of his actors came on board.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So after and he got to meet George, and I know George helped him immensely just on set, the little time they had. And George offered, his name's Mark. Mark, you call me anytime. So Mark confided with me after we filmed, and he says, I have severe PTSD. I've had it for almost 30 years. He saw some pretty not so nice things back in his career when he's in the service. And so he reached out to me. So I was that outlet for him. And I said, okay. And I said, we're having a screening in L.A. and and if you can make it. And I think there's going to be a screening when one of the theatrical releases was closer to where he was and this and that. And he didn't hear from him for a while. And one night, it's like a Thursday night at 8:30 my time, which is Pacific time, I get a call. Oh, it's Mark. And I'm going, oh, maybe he found a role for me. The eternal optimist. I answered, and he goes, hey, can I talk to you? And I go, yeah, what's going on? He goes, I finally watched The Keeper. Now, this is almost a year after it's been out. He couldn't face it.
Yeah.
And he said, I told my wife, I've got it, I'm going to stream it. And she's been so supportive of him. But he told her, if I start to whatever, leave it. I need to get through the whole thing. And he did. His point to me was he was so relieved after he watched it that he was able to do that. And he was weeping. I was weeping. And that's the impact and the power when someone knows, they can reach out to someone. And it's not easy. It's not easy if we buried that stuff for so long. So just wanted to interject that as well.
Yeah.
That Kendall, our co-director and one of the producers on the film, confided in me on some of those days, and we all encouraged him, whatever you need to do, buddy.
Yeah.
And, so that's how life works in general. And then just pay attention. Watch each other's back.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's signals, and find a way to get something on the table one way or the other, because if you don't, then it usually doesn't turn out the way we want it to. So
Yeah.
thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah, of course. Well, we're going to kind of start to wrap up here, but I would just say to all of our viewers and listeners, every one of us knows a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I think this has been a good forum to remind ourselves and everybody else that we don't know what everyone's going through, whether they're a veteran or not or whatever. But certainly, if you know a veteran, you have a friend, you have family, you have friends of family, those sorts of things. One thing you can do is reach out just to check on them, right? We encourage everyone to view the film and get plugged into the Keeper Project any way they can. Does the Keeper Project have a website or social media?
We don't. I'm gonna do a shameless plug right now. You asked some questions earlier.
Yeah.
One of our goals is to continue to raise funds so
Yes.
that we can build more resources. So I'm just going to say it flat out.
Yeah.
But Angus has a site, the Keeper Movie
.info, I think. Yeah.
.info.
Yeah.
And that's a good starting place.
And then
so
that's also on Instagram, Facebook.
yeah,
lots of stuff.
and it has links to other resources. So, but at some point in the near future, we will have the keeperproject.org probably, or keeperproject.org. We've got the domain.
Mm-hmm.
I've paid for the initial website. We just need to sit down and put it together. So for now, though, Instagram, Keeper Movie. I'm not sure if we're on Facebook or not. Facebook, the usual social outlets, and then the Keeper Movie .info.
Yeah.
The keepermovie.info. Go check out the film. Get online, streaming services, check out the film. Get plugged into this. Check on your veteran friends and family. And if you know a veteran or you know someone who could possibly be in need, or even if you don't think they're in need, sure doesn't hurt to reach out to them, right? So it's been an honor having you all here today. This has been a unique the Government Mule podcast, I think, today, and I'm really grateful to meet you guys, and super grateful for the work you've done in supporting our veterans, both across the country and starting your deal out here in Tulsa. It means a lot to us at Tulsa County, and we'll be glad to have folks hiking in honor of this at Chandler Park this weekend. So I think that wraps it up. You've been watching the Government Mule podcast. I'm Michael Willis, the Tulsa County Clerk. We've been here with the leaders and drivers of the Keeper, the film, and the Keeper project. And so I want to thank you again, George and Angus and Dan. This has really been a pleasure.
And we thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
thank you.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
do it again.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.